The people pleasing must stop. It seriously must stop, and it's going to stop today. A lot of you guys have asked me to make a video on people pleasing, and I think I can give some pretty good advice because I used to be a chronic people pleaser. And to be honest, I used to be a very functioning people pleaser. Like, I was so good at convincing people that I wanted to do a lot of the things that I didn't deep down actually want to do. I was super good at changing myself and morphing myself and putting myself in places where I was just trying to fit in. I was so good at holding back how I really felt about things. And I did that because I was in survival mode. And although a very smart childhood tactic that I picked up in order for me to feel like I was safe, it no longer kept me safe. I started to realize as I grew up that the more inauthentic that I was in relationships, towards my career, towards my friendships, myself, the more unhappy that I was. And quite frankly, the more disempowered I felt. And this is something that you need to understand when it comes to people pleasing. We think that we are being nice. We think we're putting people first. Actually, not we think, a part of us thinks that it's the right thing to do. And now listen, it is not bad to put people first sometimes in relationships, or maybe to not always spill out all of your emotions or your opinions to others. Maybe it's not the right time, the right place. There is always definitely room for us to kind of please in a way because we love, because we care about people. But when you are living your entire life putting people first, doing everything to not rock the boat, to do everything so that people like you, that is not an authentic version of you. And quite frankly, it doesn't actually allow you to have deep, meaningful connections with people. A lot of people actually can see through that. And most of all, you are just not honoring yourself. So here's a few things that I have learned on my recovery of being a people pleaser, and some tips and advice for you if you are one right now and you know it is time to stop being such a people pleaser. So for many of us, like I mentioned, people pleasing is actually something that we do to not rock the boat, to get people to like us. We are convinced that if we do the right thing and we say the right thing, then we're gonna get a certain result that we really want. And that response usually just makes us feel very safe. And what I've learned on my journey is usually a lot of children will pick up this type of tactic around certain caregivers where maybe they were afraid of them, or maybe you just didn't want to rock the boat because you didn't want to create any chaos in the home. So you learned how to be a really good, nice, quiet girl, boy, whatever. You learned the mood of your parent. You learned how to act around somebody who is emotionally unavailable or emotionally chaotic. Or maybe you even learned that there was something about you that people didn't like that was around you, so you learned how to shut it off, put it away, reject it, deny it. Whatever it is, all of this behavior is really to keep yourself alive. Because the truth is, when we come here, humans, babies, young little children, we are wired to stay safe. We are wired to survive in this life. So we will do whatever we can to do that. And the reason why I say this is because sometimes when we realize we are self-sabotaging, when we are people-pleasing, when we are doing behaviors that we know consciously, when we are adults, like right now, we don't like it, it's not getting us where we want, we know we're feeling disempowered, we kind of get annoyed, we kind of get mad at ourselves, we start to hate ourselves, we start to be like, why am I like this? I'm broken, I don't like this about me. But I think that the first step in you healing, you changing, you doing anything is to understand that every single thing that you do subconsciously is keeping you safe. There's a part of you that learned that this is something that will keep you safe. But the thing is, it no longer keeps you safe anymore. So when you do find yourself doing a self-sabotaging behavior like people pleasing, understand it's not self-sabotage. Understand that there's just a part of you that believes that it needs to do a behavior because it doesn't know how to do anything else to keep you safe. I really do believe that this allows a lot of harmony within yourself. I think a lot of us are very disconnected with ourselves. A lot of us, we have a lot of resistance. There's a part of us that just wants to change and we're pissed off that we're not changing. And a part of us that's just like, why can't you see me? I'm trying to keep you safe. What don't you get? this part of you is usually stuck in childhood and it's doing these behaviors subconsciously. And this is why you self-sabotage and you don't know why you keep doing it. It's because this part of you, it's almost like it resides within your subconscious parts of you. You operate 95% of the time out of your subconscious programming. So literally learning how to send love to the parts of you that have been quote unquote self-sabotaging is gonna help the process of you actually trying to do things a new way, because this part of you can see, okay, we're gonna do something a new way in terms of keeping me safe versus what it's always experienced, and this is something maybe usually from childhood. And another thing is, it's like when we're talking about changing, change doesn't just happen overnight, and this is why. When you have a part of you that you're wanting to change to do a healthier behavior instead of people pleasing, like communicating your needs better and just realizing like we're not actually unsafe anymore and we can, you know, go for our desires or we can say what we want. This part of you doesn't really have much evidence to believe that it's safe to do what it is consciously that you're trying to tell it to do moving forward, the tips that I'm gonna give you. This part of you needs to learn how to trust yourself more. So when it comes to changing, it's gonna take a little bit of time. Don't get mad at yourself. Don't get upset with yourself when you find like maybe you're falling back into old ways. So before we get into the tips, I just wanna say thank you to Waterdrop for sponsoring today's video and being somebody who really cares about her health, not only the quality of product, but also the environment. I am trying to do my best, guys, to switch to products that will help the environment. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Even when it comes to my health and the things that I intake in my body, I am not perfect, but I'm always trying. So on one hand, I really love that Waterdrop is sustainable. So unlike a lot of bottled beverages, Waterdrops are very easy to ship. There's not a lot of packaging, which I honestly think is so good because we do not need all of this packaging when we are getting products shipped to us. And also for every pack that they sell of Waterdrops, they collect one plastic bottle from the environment and give it a new life. And I'm so excited because they so graciously sent me their stainless steel water bottle to not only put my Waterdrops in it, but of course, water. And I am trying to stay freaking hydrated, guys. That is one of my goals. My health goals is to drink more water. And if I can also infuse my water with electrolytes, natural caffeine, or simply something that just flavors my water and actually tastes good so I can drink more of it, I am down. And lately, I've been wanting to move off of caffeine, especially around my period. It's perfect because they send me their micro energy hydration cubes and it actually has natural caffeine in it. Now, not all of their cubes have caffeine. They have like electrolytes or ones that just taste super good to taste up your water. Guys, they have so many flavors in which you're just gonna need to go on their website and check out which ones that you like because they're literally endless. So if you guys want 15% off of your order from Waterdrop, then you can use my code Elicia, E-L-I-C-I-A, for 15% off of your order by clicking the link in my description. And again, my code is Elicia. And thank you so much, Waterdrop, for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so one more thing that I didn't realize until I got older and I did a lot of therapy and very wise people worked with me was I never really had a good relationship with disappointment. And this is very important for everyone to understand, really, especially when you just grew up, maybe not the best parents, crappy childhood, or maybe just, I don't know, things happen. Like, I feel like all of us have to like work through some stuff. Usually when we've gotten disappointed in the past, there was actually no real healing or resolvement from that disappointment. So I'll give you an example. When I was a child, I would be waiting for my dad to pick me up from school, and sometimes he literally would just take an hour and I'd be there by myself just waiting. And this would happen a lot, but there'd be some times where I had no idea when he would come, or sometimes he would come on time, or like it was very, very chaotic. It was very inconsistent, but every time he didn't come on time, I was disappointed. Naturally, you're disappointed as a child. And there's so many other times and instances where my parents unfortunately disappointed me. And now the thing that sticks with us a lot of the times is that disappointment. So when my dad would pick me up, he wouldn't apologize. He wouldn't tell me everything is okay and like this won't happen again, or if it does happen again, this is how we're gonna deal with it, or like I'm gonna call you when I'm gonna be late. I didn't know that I was gonna be late. Like there was no resolution, there was no healing around, yes, I'm going to say it, a trauma. And yes, something small like that can technically be a trauma. The reason why I'm saying this is when we people please, a lot of the times we are very afraid that if we do not people please, if we don't morph into the the person that we think that we should be, if we let people down, if we say no, like if we stand our ground, if we communicate, if we have boundaries, we might disappoint somebody the same way that we once experienced disappointment. Or we will try and people please and keep ourselves safe by trying to do everything in our power so that the other person will not disappoint us because we don't know how to handle disappointment. A lot of the times we don't have healthy communication in relationships. And this is the thing, guys. We can try our absolute best to protect ourselves from disappointment by, taking that step first before they do it, or breaking up with someone before they do it, or making sure everything is perfect so that we don't disappoint people. But the truth is, we are human beings, and we're gonna make mistakes, and other people are gonna make mistakes, and you are going to get disappointed in your life. And the thing is, it's okay. Our nervous systems have been taught that it's not okay, that it's not safe. But the truth is, if we disappoint somebody, it's not going to be the end of the world. If somebody disappoints us, it won't be the end of the world, because we will have ourselves, we will have resources, we'll have tools and techniques that we can use on the days that, yeah, somebody didn't show up the way that I really wanted them to. And I think the first thing is really understanding that, like, it's gonna happen eventually. And it doesn't mean that you're a wrong person. It doesn't mean that that person's a wrong person because they disappointed you. Because at the end of the day, like, no one's really intentionally trying to hurt you. Now, yes, hurt people, but at the end of the day, that person is hurting. At the end of the day, when you are disappointing somebody too, most of the times it's because maybe you're not able to show up for them because you can't even show up for yourself. Whatever it is, understand that you are human, and it's not the end of the world if that happens. I think this is something that really helps me on the times where I feel like I'm watching myself trying to people please so that I don't disappoint somebody. And then I tell myself in that moment, AKA I tell my part of me that wants to people please, it's gonna be okay. Like, we're not gonna be able to hyperfixate and perfect this outcome all of the time, to the point where really we are not going to be our authentic self, and it's actually better we be authentic in this moment and disappoint people than for us to not be our truth selves and honestly have a mask in that relationship or that connection with somebody or whatever the situation is. So here's a few things that I started to do to kind of work my way out of becoming a people pleaser, because I realized I was doing that with everything, like down to like my relationships. I would, if I was dating somebody, I would literally I would spend so much time at their place, or I would stay up super late, and then I would mess up my morning routine, and I'd be super tired, and I would be out of my routine, and then I would do that over and over and over again, and I wouldn't tell him that I really need to go home at this time so that I can get proper sleep. Why? Because I was holding on to that attachment. I had anxious attachment. I didn't believe that they would stay if I said no. I had to choose myself, but also I didn't want to disappoint people. It was literally such a freaking mess. So this is the first thing that I started to tell myself was, you know what? Even if you can't tell the truth right now, and this is what I mean, let's say your friends ask you to go somewhere and you realize you really do not want to club anymore, or party or drink, but you keep finding yourself getting into the same weekender binge with your friends, and it's not a vibe. You're always mad at yourself for doing it, but you just keep doing it because you can't say no to your friends. When your friends start talking about this weekend, we're gonna go here, or do you wanna go here? Do you wanna go to a pre-drink or a party, or do you wanna hang out with this person or that person? If you struggle with saying the reason why you don't want to go, and you can really, if you have to say a little white lie to get yourself out of actually going, then I used to do that until I was confident enough for me to just be I need to choose myself, but whatever. At least stop saying things you do not mean, okay? And this is something that really you have to hold as a value or a moral about yourself to yourself, okay? Stop saying things you do not mean. So when somebody says, hey, I really want to go out to this club this weekend and it's gonna be so fun, do you want to come? And then you say, not only do you say, yeah, let's do it, whatever, sure, you'll be I'm so excited to go, and I can't wait, oh my god, that'd be so fun. I used to catch myself doing that shit all the time. I would always tell my friends I'm super excited to do this thing, even though I didn't actually want to do it. And I realized I'm making the situation worse. Not only am I committing to something that I don't really want to do, on top of that, I am reinforcing this message of this is exactly what I want to do. So of course they're going to continue to ask me to do more things. Or like in a relationship, when you're sitting up and you're watching a movie and you know, it's like 11 o'clock and normally you go to bed at freaking 9 o'clock and you have a whole day tomorrow and you have a million things and your boyfriend is like, hey, let's watch a movie and let's stay up later, like let's have a drink, whatever. Not only are you saying yes, you're also being like, yes, like I really want to do this, like it's so fun, whatever. It's like, stop saying things you do not mean and stop committing to things that you do not want to commit to. And that's why I bring the white lies back in a little bit. And I know it sounds really bad. I'm not really trying to promote lying or white lies, but I just mean sometimes you have to kind of go around to the side door to get where you need to go at sometimes. And I don't mean ever saying any sort of white lie that would ever hurt somebody. But you know, if you struggle with being like to your club friends, I don't think that I want to drink anymore and be around you guys because I don't think that you guys are aligned with my goals. Like maybe that's a little bit like too harsh, like a little bit too much. You know, people won't receive that information the best, and that's most likely why you also don't want to say anything. And that was my experience as well. Many other things, but that was definitely one of them. So I started saying, I would really like to see you. And by the way, I'm not committing to the thing and I'm not saying that I want to go to the club, but I'm saying I would really like to see you, my friend, but I'm really tired tonight and I have a lot of work tomorrow. So I think I'm just gonna stay in tonight, but maybe tomorrow during the day, we can go get brunch. We can go do something that you would obviously probably rather do. Things like that will help you not only be able to speak your truth more without feeling like you're gonna get like pushback, and also you're training other people to recognize that you no longer want to spend time doing that. People will notice. People will pick up on the fact that you do not want to do certain things if you actually communicate that though. And now this leads into my next point, which is definitely communicating, but this is what I think can be very helpful, is to sit down and think about the person that you want to be. Think about the best version of yourself. How does she think? Where does she spend her time? Who is she dating? What is she doing for her career? Where is she spending her mornings, her nights, her free time? Who, what, where, when, and why? Get super clear on that. And then once you know this, once you really can see yourself like, this is the girl I want to be, and you start to take actions towards that thing, use this person, the best version of you, as a framework to start to communicate who it is that you are trying to be to your friends, to your family, to your lovers, to your whatever. So like, I remember when I really started to realize like, you know, the actions that I'm taking with the friend groups and the relationships or the guys that I'm dating are just not gonna get me to this version of me that I really want. What I would start to do was communicate that to my people. So I would start to say, hey, I have been really thinking lately about my habits and my goals, and you know, I'm not really happy with how things have been going with my life. I feel like I never have enough time for myself. I feel like my sleep is really off, my health is really off. So I'm just gonna spend some more time on the weekends or the weeknights focusing on myself or taking care of myself or whatever it is that you're gonna do. This has nothing, you're not gonna make it about them. You're not gonna be like, I can never see you again, or like your habits are the reason why my life is crap. Nothing. It's not about them. It is about you. And this is why I think it's actually very important, okay? Because if we're gonna take accountability here for how we've played a role in relationships, which we should no matter what, even if you're technically the victim, even if you're the people pleaser, even if you're in survival mode, you're playing a role. You're always playing a role. And you have set a standard and you have shown up a certain way in your relationships, your friendships, your everything. And so people are gonna expect you to be this one way, to be the girl that's like down for clubs because you said that you were. Be this girl who wants to stay up super late and like, you know, Netflix and chill all night because you told your boyfriend that's what you like to do. So people are gonna expect you to show up a certain way. So if you just expect them to be okay with you switching up in a way without having any sort of form of communication, don't be surprised when they are feeling a little bit like, oh, why? Or what? Or like, you changed. And again, this is not about pleasing them because it doesn't matter what, at the end of the day, like what they say or what they, I mean, obviously it does matter if they're your friends and in your relationship, and then you want to have that conversation about, are they really for you? But at the end of the day, like, I really do think you owe it to a lot of people when you haven't been authentic to some sort of explanation or some sort of conversation about how you would like to move in a certain direction in your life. And again, it's not about them, it is about you. You are reflecting on your life, you are seeing the areas that you are not super happy about, and this is the action that you're going to take. And this is good because, you know, you're leaving space, you're leaving openness, room, I should say, for these relationships to come in, to have space. It's not about, oh, I'm never gonna be friends with you anymore because you do this, that, and the third. Well, hey, I want to spend more time doing a brunch during the day instead of going to the club. So if you want to do that, I would love for you to come. Now, again, if this is where it's like a relationship where you don't even want to do brunch, then, you know, maybe you have to learn how to end those friendships. But I really think, honestly, naturally, those friendships will kind of die down when you start putting your time and attention into things like this, because you will know whether that friendship is going to last or not by you actually communicating your needs and being like, hey, I want to do brunch instead of the clubbing. All you have to do is let your friend respond. Does she want to come or not? You will start to see whether her actions are going to be aligned with yours, and then that's when you'll know. Now, another thing that I think is helpful when it comes to people pleasing is when you have decided like that version of you and you really want to take some more actions and steps towards, you know, a better life, and you start to communicate that with other people in your life, you actually have to spend the time doing the thing that you said. And I used to never really do this. Like I would, you know, say that I didn't want to like hang out with people and like go to clubs or like, you know, spend my time doing X, Y, and Z. And I want to like have this new version of my life. But then I actually like wouldn't do it. I actually wouldn't put myself first. Like the first step is, of course, communicating your needs and starting to say no to people in ways that don't clearly offend them. But then the second step is to actually choose yourself. So taking action towards the things that you said that you're going to take action towards. Instead of, oh, I'm not gonna go to the club, I don't wanna hang out with those type of people. Find something that you're actually going to do with your time instead of just sitting in your bed and then maybe judging them for doing whatever they're doing. Because the truth is, the only way that you're really gonna become somebody who chooses themselves is if you actually choose yourself slowly, every day, taking one step forward to doing something for you that you know that you actually want. Now, another thing I think is very, very, very helpful is to have inner dialogues with yourself. And I mean, like every day you should always be trying to reprogram the thoughts that you're thinking that are negative, but especially when you start to witness yourself wanting to people please or like wanting to stay up super late and text that guy even though that's literally gonna ruin your sleep schedule, or you wanna say yes to your friend to go out to a club when you know you do not wanna do it. It's so important in these moments before you respond to learn how to have an inner dialogue. So you're gonna be basically talking to that part of you that wants to people please because she thinks that, oh my gosh, if I don't stay up and text, then he's not gonna be here the next day, or he's not gonna like me, or if I don't say yes, then I'm not gonna have any friends, or she's gonna get mad at me, or she's gonna say this, that. In that moment, you have to basically hold your inner child's hand and be like, nope, that's not the story that's happening anymore. He's gonna be here in the morning as he always is, and he's going to text me. Why? Because he likes me, because we enjoy each other's company, because he's my boyfriend, he's my fiance, he's my whatever. Like literally those anxious attachments, little thoughts, you have to tell yourself a new story. Or when it comes to your friends, telling yourself in that moment, hey, if I cancel right now, or if I say no to this thing, she's still gonna be my friend. She's really not gonna be that mad. And there's been so many times where I thought that my friends are gonna be so upset that I didn't go. But I started to tell myself in that moment, Alicia, it's more important that you say no because you know you do not wanna do this. And you're gonna get yourself in a situation where you're gonna be unhappy with yourself and you're not gonna have a good time and you're not gonna connect with your friends the way that you want. And then in that moment, I calm down my inner child so that I'm able to actually say no in a healthy way. And when I do that, my girls are like, absolutely, like no problem, like I'll see you next week, or like this, that, and the third, or like let's do brunch. Or usually what happens is if anyone ever asks me to do something I don't want to do, which is quite rare because I have friendships now where it's really, we're always doing things that we all want to do. But if there is, I just say, hey, like can't do this thing, but how about we try and do something that's different, that's maybe more healthy or maybe more, I don't know, wholesome. Be your own best friend, be your inner child's bigger sister, whatever it is, however you want to think about, you need to be the one to talk yourself out of these things. And here's a few reminders that you might have heard before, but you absolutely need to hear it again. When you start to choose yourself, there are going to be some people that will not like it. But the truth is, if you choose yourself and they don't want to stay, they were never for you. they were never for you. These relationships are not for you when they're not authentic. When you're doing things in relationships, friendships, romantic, that's what I mean, everything is relational. When you're doing things that are not aligned to you, you might as well not even call them relationships. These are not real relationships. And you came here on earth to have relationships. And I know it can be absolutely terrifying at times for you to say what you want and to communicate your needs. But if you want to have that relationship that you're dying to have with a romantic partner or friendships or family, you're not going to get it by not being who you really are. There's no way but through. There is no way but through. And you will find when you start to slowly choose yourself, you start going to bed at the time that you want to instead of staying up because you know that person's gonna be there. You start saying no to club nights and yes to brunch dates. You will start to see yourself become more happy, more energized, more present. And when you become that is when the universe starts to really give you that reflection. You start to attract more people whom you don't have to even say, I don't want to do this, because they're already on your level. They're already wanting to go to brunch. They're already wanting to go to sleep and text you in the morning instead of staying up all night. Whatever it is, you have to be that change before you see it reflected in your reality. And I know it can be scary, but listen, I'm here for you. The community is here for you. When I mean by the community, I just mean the Glow Up Girls. On this channel, we talk about healing, glowing up to the best version of ourselves, womanhood, confidence, all of that good stuff. And if you need more help, of course, subscribe to this channel, but I also have a podcast channel, which you can watch me on YouTube, and it's the Glow Up Secrets podcast. Or if you want to go on a hot girl walk, then you can listen to it on Spotify or Apple. And yeah, my camera's gonna die. Thank you so much, Waterdrop, for sponsoring today's video. 15% off your order, link in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.